morning and welcome to Love Every Moment, coming to you today from Fredericksburg, Texas. Today's verse is 1 Peter 5:7, casting all your anxiety upon him because he cares for you. Well, this is a beautiful verse that you'll see written on plaques and hung up in our kitchen somewhere, something like that. It's really neat to think that God not only wants our pocketbook, our politics, our diet, our hobbies, our marital status, our sex life, everything about us that's positive and so forth. He even wants our baggage. He wants our vices, our fears, our anxieties. And we could cast everything on him, everything about us, and he cares for us. But what's interesting also about this verse is the fact that it starts with casting, which is a progressive form of the verb, which ties it into the previous verse, which is humble yourselves under the mighty hand of God, and he will exalt us in due time. I'm going to suggest that the anxiety mentioned here is the anxiety that we get from humbling ourselves. Couple of examples. So Joseph was wrongly accused and thrown into prison, and he was there for 20 some odd years, and he became a model prisoner. I'm sure he was anxious, wondering, am I ever going to get out of this prison? And in due time, took 20 plus years, but in due time, the Lord did exalt him as he cast his cares upon the Lord. Another example, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they were humbling themselves to death in the fiery furnace. And that was, I'm sure, a moment of anxiety, but they humbled themselves, cast those anxieties upon him, and sure enough, God in that case raised them up in probably a matter of minutes rather than years. So in God's time, he will lift us up. So I have a personal example from my life, and I'll share that with you. So I was a foreign language teacher for 30 years, and in the middle of my career, I became the department chairman as I had seniority. And this comes with a number of perks. For one, there's a stipend of $100 a month that really helped my bottom line. Secondly, there's a lot of prestige. I was in charge of the department, in charge of ordering materials, in charge of setting the calendar and assigning roles to various people for things we had to accomplish, and also running the meetings and everything else. It was really a nice opportunity and a lot of perks associated with it. However, my colleagues just did not like my leadership style, and it just irked them a lot. They asked me early on to stop observing them in their classrooms, so I did. I said, you can still come into my classroom because I have an open door policy, but I stopped going to their classrooms to observe, and I thought that would clear things up, but it didn't. Our meetings became more and more contentious, and we just became less unified and more disjointed. So I prayed about that, and I had a lot of anxiety, but I came to this verse, and it said to cast that anxiety upon him. And as I meditated, the Lord said, just let it go. So the next day I called the principal and my department together for a meeting, and I said, look, I'm sorry I've not been the unifying leader that I wanted to be. I want our department to be a unified department and a positive department. So I'm willing to step down and let somebody else be the department chair, even though I had all this seniority. And it was a shocking statement to my colleagues, and it took a lot of humbling on my part to have somebody with a lot less seniority lead the department. But the Lord worked out the details. He worked out my budget so I could cover for the monies that I missed. And also, even though there was some awkwardness of the department meetings and so forth, we worked it out. It definitely became better. And then just about 2 months ago, one of my departments had a special dinner and invited me and the whole department. We got along just great. So the Lord lifted me up in that case in his due time, and humbling was the right step. So let's choose to love every moment, because then we're going to love every moment. I'm your average Red, and I hope you have a great week.